Hello everyone, my name is Janel Rosco Sambalad, and I am here to share my learnings and insights gained from this subject, Afro-Asian literature. What is Afro-Asian literature? When we talk about Afro-Asian literature, we're talking about works written by people of mixed African-Arab or African-Asian ancestry. In modern times, Afro-Asian literature is a distinct subgenre of writing about African and Asian experiences. It mirrors not only the customs and traditions of African and Asian countries, but also their philosophy of life, which on the whole is deeply and predominantly contemplative and hauntingly sweet. Moreover, it is the reflection of the storm and the stress of developing nations seeking a place under the sun that every student must understand so they may know how this literature affects the history and culture of a nation. The history of Afro-Asian literature can be traced back to when the first mixed-race person began writing. An exact answer is harder to come by given the wide topic of the question to be answered. Like most literature, you can be assured that earlier documents were based on stories passed down by word of mouth. Afro-Asian literature is composed of countries from Africa and Asia, such as Africa, Egypt, Arabia, China, India, Israel, Iran, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Let us first talk about African literature. What makes African literature even more interesting is the fact that it is about Africans. It explains the mysteries, intricacies, ironies, and tragedies of life in a language we understand without going the extra mile of checking Google. In it, they encounter themselves and we come face to face with the truth of their continent. The ups and downs, we learn the histories of their people, we learn African proverbs, we learn African values. And the poem Africa by David Diop is best example of African literature. Ancient Egypt was the source of great works written on papyrus, or on the walls of temples, tombs, pyramids, obelisks, monuments, and portraits. These works of art succeeded for many centuries. Many changes occurred over time, many governments and civilizations vanished, and others appeared, but the ideals of ancient Egyptian literature survived to the present day. One of the best works during this time was the myths of Osiris and Isis. Arabian literature represents the richness and diversity of Arabic people and their language and culture. Through translation, Arabic literature has been shared with people around the world. Ali Baba and 40 Thieves was a well-known story of this genre. In China, Confucius is well known. He was a Chinese philosopher, politician, and teacher whose message of knowledge, benevolence, loyalty, and virtue was the main guiding philosophy of China for thousands of years. The Analects, or a collection of Confucius' conversations, teachings, strongly emphasize the importance of morality for the betterment of oneself and society in general. The book lays out several teachings for both commoners and rulers to follow in the pursuit of morality. The Hindu literature is one of the oldest. The first record is thought to have appeared more than 4,000 years ago in what is now India and some parts of Pakistan. It is also known as Sanskrit literature because most of the pieces are written in Sanskrit, an ancient language consisting of several types of scriptures. For example, the story of the Mahabharata. Jewish literature is divided into periods. The first is ancient Jewish, which was dominated by religious themes, the medieval period, which was dominated by rabbinic literature, and the modern Jewish literature, which saw the continuation of the standard rabbinic literature. The most important Jewish literary work is without a doubt the Torah or the Hebrew Bible. Being open to love in all its forms is a central message of Persian literature, no matter what form of expression it takes. In Hafiz Shira's works, this theme is thought by many scholars to have been developed most eloquently with the highest degree of artistry. earning him the honor of being named as the greatest Persian poet. This can be seen in the story of Sohrab and Rustam. Japanese literature reveals a lot of influence by the Chinese literature from the ancient period all the way to the Edo period, which corresponds to the early modern Japanese literature. One of the literary works of Japan is haiku, and the best haiku is the Old Pond by Matuso Basho. The Korean script, or the Hangul, assumed its place of leading importance in Korean literature only during the latter half of the 19th century. After the Enlightenment period, the use of Chinese letters swiftly declined and the popularity of Korean letters greatly increased. As soon as the linguistic duality of Chinese and native within Korean life was overcome, literature in the Korean script became the foundation upon which the national literature developed. Two Lies by An Zong-og is a great work of Korean literature. Vietnam's literature was highly expressive and was able to reveal the culture and history of the nation, such as the average crossing of a road in the country and the many Buddhist poems created in the Tran dynasty reflecting on life and Buddhist tradition. Perhaps one of the greatest statesmen, poets was Nguyen Du in the 19th century. His Truyen Kyo, The Tale of Kyo, or Kim Van Kyo, is generally considered the pinnacle of Vietnamese literature. Indonesian literature is the poetry and prose writings in Javanese, Malay, Sundanese, and other languages of the people of Indonesia. They include works orally transmitted and then preserved in written form by the Indonesian people, oral literature, and the modern literatures that began to emerge in the 20th century as a result of Western influence. The Tale of Gono and Koyo is a literary work known in Indonesia from which we can learn the consequences of being foolish. Okay, why are we studying this literature and what is their importance? The importance comes from the fact that Afro-Asian literature is a sign of new and modern times. These days, literature comes from all walks of life and from all corners of the globe. These days, we are able to enjoy literature from all over the world thanks to the internet and translation services. Another significance is that this writing can teach people and allow them to learn about various experiences and cultures from around the world. Instead of just watching documentaries and reading articles, people are now easily able to read first-hand accounts about the things that happen in these countries and what interesting historical accounts have been made in the past. Well, you know what? I am having so much fun with this subject, especially in creating a video about Gono and Koyo. This subject helped me improve my literary skills, my creative imagination, and also my skills for dramatization. I know that this is not an easy course, but if we'll try to love this, we'll try to appreciate this one, we'll be able to make it through all the challenges. And that was my experience in this subject. And I hope that all the information I presented was clear to you, and I hope that you've gained something knowledge from the Afro-Asian literature. That would be all. Once again, my name is Janil Orozco Sambalad. Thank you.